Dana White just dropped some big news on Instagram announcing that former PFL champion Kayla Harrison has signed to the UFC, and they've already matched her up with Holly Holm and added that matchup to UFC 300. Now, this is not as sexy as when Kayla Harrison was undefeated and running through everybody that the PFL was putting in front of her, considering that she lost in 2022 to Larissa Pacheco, and she sat out the majority of 2023, only taking one matchup where she was able to pick up the victory. Kayla has been known to be somewhat displeased with her position in the PFL, considering that they didn't put her in any seasons, and they're holding her on the sidelines to have her perform for the pay-per-view Super Fight Series, which didn't seem to take place. Now, Kayla Harrison finds herself in the UFC, which is in dire need of more stars, more big names that they can sell to the public, especially in this women's bantamweight division, which had a very lackluster title fight back at UFC 297 this past weekend. With the addition of her to the roster and taking on someone like Holly Holm, she will probably be thrust right into a title shot if she's able to get her hand raised in April over Holm. This, like I said, is a much-needed assertion to the women's bantamweight division, especially considering that we have a champion like Raquel Pennington, who probably can't sell many pay-per-views and probably doesn't have any familiarity with a lot of the casual fans. Another big thing to take into consideration here, if anybody saw it, and I wish it was a little bit bigger news, Amanda Nunes kind of hinted at a return. She said she's still young enough to go out there and have some good enough performances, and you gotta believe that Nunes versus Harrison is a fight that a lot of fans would probably want to see. Now, I'm not going to say that Harrison just walks over Holly Holm. That's a big if, as Holly, even at this age, is a very tough out. And yes, I get it. She got choked out by Mayra Bueno Silva, who had a very unfortunate performance this past weekend against Raquel Pennington. But Holly Holm is still a very tough matchup for somebody like Kayla Harrison. Harrison will likely need to get the takedown to have success against a better striker in a Holly Holm. But Holm is a very strong and athletic fighter in her own right. So that is a very intriguing matchup, once again added to UFC 300. Now, something I want to piggyback off this, and it was going to be another video that I was going to drop, but I might as well put the two together. What else can UFC do to make 300 feel like an even bigger event? You know, obviously they added the BMF title between Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje onto the card, but it feels like it's just missing one more thing. A lot of speculation was the fact that they were hoping, or people were hoping, that the UFC would be able to bring back somebody like Ronda Rousey or Brock Lesnar, or even hope that Conor McGregor would be able to make the April date, which just makes you think that the UFC is lacking a lot of star power nowadays, or probably stack the deck too heavily at UFC 299 that they don't have enough star power to bring over to UFC 300. The only other name that kind of sticks out there, or two names that stick out there that make you think that UFC 300 could be even bigger, is if they either bring Israel Adesanya back and possibly have a quick turnaround for Dricus du Plessis and have him fight at 300 for a highly anticipated grudge match, or if they somehow turn around Alex Pereira and try to match him up at UFC 300, although a lot of the contenders are already matched up, although Magomed Ankalaev could possibly be that piece as well, but it just doesn't feel like it would be a UFC 300 type fight. Let me know what you guys think about Kayla Harrison signing to the UFC, what it means for the women's divisions moving forward, and what you would like to see realistically added to UFC 300 to make it a 300 event. Let me know in the comment section below.